Trap it out.
Welcome to Otaku Shot, where it's something about liquor and anime. I'm Shane.
I'm Scott.
Cheers! What are we drinking tonight, Scott?
We're drinking Blue Moon right now. We started the night off with some Three Olives Loopy. It's like a Fruit Loops type of flavored vodka, I guess.
Drinking our normal Kraken as well.
Yeah, you gotta get the Kraken in there.
Yeah, the Fruit Loop stuff is
Let's get Kraken.
Let's
Sorry,
get Kraken.
I had to do it.
I know you did, and God. But the Fruit Loop stuff is interesting. It tastes like Fruit Loops.
Yeah, especially because we're using Coke for our chaser, so it's like a weird combination.
Kind of a weird
flavors.
thing going.
Yeah. Whatever.
Anyway, to start the night off, tonight's topic is live action anime, which I've been waiting for quite a while now. So,
didn't we already do an episode on this?
No, we did like a long time ago.
We did like a preview.
Yeah,
almost,
like we did like a preview. I remember when we were first starting out, like doing podcasting. We made a bunch of like sample episodes essentially, but live action anime was one. But basically, me and Scott watched a bunch of live action movies the other night, and we're just gonna kind of go through those. The main ones being we watched the Death Note movie, the American version of the live action Death Note movie. And we also watched part one, a little bit of it, for Attack on Titan.
I think it's funny that you started off by saying, like, we watched a bunch, but really we watched, like, 2.5.
I also watched the Tokyo Ghoul movie.
Oh, true.
Yeah, which I did not watch with you.
I have nothing to speak on with that.
That's fine.
I also, like, don't even really remember Tokyo Ghoul, though, so.
That's okay, even though it's the one thing I fucking love, but whatever. You know, fuck you.
Okay, you know. It's already happening? God damn it.
For all those who don't know, we're doing our normal hentai moan game thing tonight. It's gonna go off randomly, like you just heard. Sorry if that was startling to any of you. The audio for it was also very loud.
That was even startling to me, and I knew it was gonna happen eventually.
But the first thing we're gonna get into is the Death Note movie. So, for Death Note, we're gonna try our best not to give spoilers. But, like, I mean, like, me and Scott already talked about this, though. Like, it's not going to be that hard. Like, for the most part, it's pretty easy to kind of...
like, Death Note, the live action didn't really go into even really the full plot, I feel like, of what Death Note really is. I mean, they kind of scratched the surface. I mean, we might get into some spoilers when we're talking, like, when we're comparing and contrasting. But I think we'll be able to avoid it pretty easily. Okay,
I will say, though, that if we do get into anything that is very spoilerish, we will say something so that you can skip forward and do it.
And if we don't, it's like, whateve, dude. It's on you.
Like, whatever, dude. Just saying fuck you to the people who are listening to this.
Yeah, you know, whatever. You've all seen Death Note. Everyone knows about Death Note.
I guess, yeah. I mean, if you haven't seen Death Note,
that's pretty much your attitude. It's like if you haven't watched this, like go watch it and then listen.
I guess. Same for the Attack on Titan movie. There will be kind of like some stuff that we're gonna go through. Like we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do our best to not spoil it.
We try over here on Otaku Shot. We try to not spoil, but it is a drinking podcast. Things just kind of slip out.
This does happen. Yeah. This is true. Moving on, though, for Death Note, I will say that, so, comparing it to the original series, who have seen the original series, I will say that it was absolutely fucking not like the original series at all.
Not at all.
So, I'll say this. So, one thing that me and Scott have determined throughout watching live-action movies is that, basically, if you haven't seen the original series for it and then ended up watching it, like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. But if you have seen it, then you have a lot of problems with it typically. So, like, for the Death Note movie particularly, there was just, like, it was good in, like, a sense of, like, a movie.
Yeah, I definitely felt like, as a movie, most of the things worked. I mean, nothing phenomenal about it, but it's a watchable film. You know, you understand what's going on. There's not too many plot holes going on.
Yeah, not too many.
From what I like. Well, I mean, like what I've seen from the first watch through. I mean, You know, I enjoyed it, even as somebody who has seen... oh, fuck. I just spilled beer fucking all over me. Whatever.
I see that.
Even as somebody that has watched Death Note, I enjoyed it for the most part, but, I mean, there are certainly things that I was like... It was done better, like in the actual anime.
Yeah, obviously.
But obviously, that's the thing of it. There was also a lot of things where I was like, I wish they would have done this, but I get it because they're making it for an American audience.
Yeah,
and like
I know. The main thing here
it's got to be different.
The main thing here also is that, like, you know, whenever you watch or read something, typically the original for you is better.
Yeah.
It's obviously more accurate.
And part of that is just because you like what's familiar to you.
This is true.
Like, if you watch the dub of an anime, like I watched the dub for Durarara.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, when I go through and watch Durarara, it's like I like the sub still, but for me, because I went through and watched it dubbed originally, I still prefer the dubbed voices. Like, I still picture those voices in my head as those characters.
Going back to our first episode of dubs versus subs.
But what I'm saying here is, you like what's familiar to you.
This is true.
Yeah.
So, for the Death Note movie also, the reason why I have a lot of problems with it is because it was not anything like... If you're expecting it to be anything like the original series, it was not. I did like... God!
These are so close together. We're going to be trashed by the end.
That's fine.
That's the goal.
Anyway, but the goal of it... I will also say that regardless of the movie itself, I loved a lot of the visual effects they did for like Ryuk particularly.
Yeah.
Who was?
I also liked how they didn't like, because obviously they have to like CG a bunch of that.
Yeah.
Because I mean you can't like.
It has to be CG. Yeah.
But when they actually had him, like being CG'd like into the scene. It was always in darkness and like it was kind of hidden.
Yeah.
So like you couldn't. And I felt like they also kind of tried to avoid having him in the same shot as like the real characters.
Yeah.
So you couldn't see as much like, oh, clearly like this is a fake like effect in the shot.
Yeah.
That like it didn't stand out is what I'm trying to say.
I get it.
The way that they put him in the movie. And the way they made the effects and like lighted it, it didn't stand out to me as being like CG'd in there.
I get it.
Yeah.
For those who didn't know, Willem Dafoe was the actor for Ryuk.
I thought he did very well.
I thought he did very good.
Not that I'm a professional mover. I'm sure everybody. You guys all know we're not professional.
We don't know anything.
We don't know. I barely graduated high school. I barely graduated.
We don't need to go into that detail.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Anyway, but besides that, like, I liked the characters and I liked stuff that was going on with it, but like, my main thing for it was basically, for those who don't know, Light Yagami in the original Death Note is fucking smart. He is so smart. He is very just like he's very cunning when it comes to like what he's doing with the Death Note, and everything about his thought process is very thorough. You get to see his thought process. But the thing that what they did with the original, like with the American version of the Death Note, was Light was not. Damn it! Fuck!
I'm on my last sip of beer already. I'm gonna start pouring shots. Fuck it.
Here's another beer if you want it.
Yeah, give me.
Not the mango one.
Give me the right. Yeah, come on, you're saving the mango.
I'm having the mango.
Okay,
you're not having any of the mango.
I like mangoes too, you know.
But Light in this movie was not smart in the slightest. And
there was a few things he did that were smart.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
It was smart in the way that, like, when an average person does something that's super smart, it's like, oh, whoa, that's smart. But if a genius does something smart, they're just like, oh, that's just how I think.
Yeah, I get it. But yeah, Light smart's like he's smart on a whole different level, to be honest, when it comes to that.
Almost an unrealistic level, where it's like there are things in Death Note where when it's explained out in the show, you're like, oh, that conclusion makes sense because you're watching it. But if you were an actual person trying to figure it out, you would be like, what the actual fuck?
I guess that's true.
There's a lot of jumps that, because you're watching it and, like, they're telling it to you, it makes sense, but it doesn't really.
Yeah, but for him, that's kind of like the thing of it. He was just not as smart as I was hoping that Light would be, which is what Light is.
Yeah.
Basically, they used a lot of, like, I feel like for the most part, when it came to the Death Note movie, they were using the Death Note name, but it wasn't really the same, like, story at all.
And I think that's an interesting thing to get into when you're talking about adaptations of things, because you can always, like, I talked about this a little bit before in one of our, like, proto episodes.
Yeah.
How you can always fall back into that.
Fuck, dude.
I mean, that's what's going on. It's a hentai mode. So.
I guess that's true.
But anyway, you can always fall back into, like, oh, it's not an adaptation. Like, it was inspired by this, kind of. You see what I'm saying? Like, you see a lot of things, like, try to pull that card of, like, oh, but it was based on this novel or based on this series.
Yeah, I get it. To get the publicity of
with,
it.
like, heavy quotes.
Yes.
So with things like that, there are a few routes that you can take where it's one kind of like the Death Note movie where you don't really follow the main plot of the actual show, but the premise is very similar, where it's like, yeah, there's a notebook, you write a name, people die.
Yes.
And, like, that's what they're going off of. But I think if that's the route that you're going to go, where it's just inspired by the anime or by the manga, it's like, if that's the route you're going to go, you don't need to name the characters, like, exactly the same. And, like,
I guess that's true.
Yeah. Like, if you're gonna make everything, if you're gonna try to make it, like, being everything the same as in the anime, you should try to get it as close to the actual plot as you can. Because in the end, what you're counting on is the fans of that anime coming in to see it.
Yeah.
So you want them to be happy, otherwise you're not going to make money. If you're counting on the masses to see it, people who haven't seen the anime, then you need to make your own story. Like, you can base it on another person's idea, but you should have your own story to tell, I feel like.
I guess that's true, but I also would say...
And I have a little bit more to talk about this later, but I'll let you say what you're going to say.
Okay. I will say that, regardless of that, they did have some characters that work like their characters.
Yeah.
Like L, for instance.
I liked L.
I loved L.
I thought he portrayed the character of L very well.
I thought he did too. I thought he was pretty much a... fuck.
They're so close together this time. Oh my god.
Just keep going. But I will say that L did a fantastic job. Out of everybody, like, L, Ryuk were the two main people that I thought were very good.
Yeah.
For those who didn't know also, so if anybody... Okay, this is kind of where we're getting into spoilers. If you don't want to hear this, turn this off now. But in Death Note, there's Misa Amane.
Yes.
And then, obviously, there's Light. And Misa was kind of like the worshiper to Light. Was like a follower to Light. And, like, his adventures with Kira. But, like, in this version, instead of having Misa, they had... What was her name? What was her name in it?
I literally don't remember.
I think it was, like, Mia? Yeah, it was Mia.
I just remember her as that hot chick. She's so hot.
She was hot. I will say
She's so
that.
hot.
But she, like, basically what they did was... So, Light's main thing in the original Death Note was, I want to become god of the new world.
Yeah.
By killing the criminals and all the people who oppose me. But in this version of it, and, like, Light, obviously in the original anime, determined that very... like, fast, that he wanted to be, like, this god of the new world.
Almost, you can see that start to, like, sprout out from him pretty much episode 1.
Yeah, well, he
talks about, like, I'm gonna make a new world now that I know that this power is real, pretty much, yeah.
But with this version, instead of having Misa as, like, a loyal follower, they had Mia, who was, like, his girlfriend, and instead of that, she was kind of like... So, basically, the Light in this was not as dark as the original Light.
Yeah.
He
seemed very hesitant
to kill
about
people.
killing anybody. Yeah, like I mean, obviously he was killing criminals and like people that he knew had been doing wrong, but he was much more hesitant to kill people that got in his way.
Yeah,
I feel like, and then Mia, if we're sure that's her name, I think it was Mia, but she was like, I got this idea from you how she was like kind of the other side of what Light was in the anime, where she was the one saying like okay, well these people are getting in our way, like let's kill them.
Yes,
pretty much.
So I would say this in my perspective, which we kind of just talked about, but for this version, instead of having Light being both the dark and the light of things, but instead of having Light being the dark and the light of things, like with him being good and bad, they basically introduced Mia as being this character who was like his dark side and the evil part of him. Also, for the Death Note movie, instead of having it like in the original, Light was also like obsessed with being a god. For this one, Light did not have the goal of being a god.
Yeah, not really.
Like he had the idea of like cleaning up the streets and like being like a figure.
Yeah, but he definitely didn't have like a real goal like that.
Like, no, like not at all.
Especially not one as ambitious as I'm gonna become God.
Yeah,
it seemed like he was just a typical teenager, like trying to figure out what to do with this power. So the only thing he could really think to do was kill off criminals, and then eventually got out of his hands. And he was like, I mean, a good portion of the story I feel like was him getting himself out of the mess that he had created by killing so many people. Yeah,
it was also like in this version, he just didn't have like the mindset of Light.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing and that's where they added Mia in, to kind of give the Light perspective from the original series into that.
I mean, I think looking at it in that perspective where his female companion is like the darker side of who Light is, and then the actual character playing Light is like the two sides of his conscience, pretty much, for like the main characters. I actually really like that idea, but I think that it's cheap to kind of like play off the Death Note name to make that idea work. If that makes any sense.
That's what we were talking about earlier. And also, they did this thing where
it's like they're trying to do their own story without making an original idea, so they don't really know.
Yeah, I guess
what to do. Like it's a weird type of situation.
We talked about this a while ago, where you were like, they should have just named it like something else that was like similar to
like
to
if they
Death
had
Note.
If they had, I mean, even like if they had just named the characters different things, it could easily be its own story and it would work totally fine.
What I thought,
fact that they're just counting on fans of Death Note to come in and see it, and what the fans of Death Note are expecting big quotes, is like Light, Ryuk, Death Note.
You get it.
Yeah. L, Kita.
Whatever. I know. And like the main thing I was saying here also is that I wish they would have like possibly what I was thinking that could have worked also is that they could have used the Death Note name, but it could have been taking place in a place. Okay, so Ryuk, once again, spoilers here. But like Ryuk drops the Death Note in Japan, Light finds it. Maybe they do. Fuck.
Maybe later.
God damn you.
Maybe later.
I'm done with you.
I mean, he will damn me later.
He is done being my co-host. Anyway, but
co-host? Oh, I didn't know I got promoted to co-host. I thought it was still sidekick.
Well, you don't do shit here, so yes, you are.
Oh, okay. That's true. I don't do shit. Guys, all I do is talk. I just say words.
And not even good words.
Not even good ones. Not even good ones.
But anyway, I wish they would have done it kind of like this, where they basically took Death Note as a whole, but instead of it being from Light's perspective, they took somebody in America and dropped the Death Note, and it would have been possibly a whole other person taking
exactly. Like if it was his own story, it would be fucking legit.
Also, like, it kind of was legit. So, like, me and Scott also talked about this thing where, like, okay, let's get into the Attack on Titan movie.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, for the Attack on Titan movie, my thing
Nice
mainly...
segue.
Segue?
Segue?
What are you talking about?
A segue is like a transition from one topic to the next.
Oh, okay. Sure. It was bad. But the main... It's going to get into a topic later.
Okay. We got this.
So, for the Attack on Titan movie, for those who have not seen Attack on Titan, I guess if you've seen the live action, it was okay. But as a person who has seen and has, like, fully dived into the Attack on Titan universe, it was fucking horrible. It was so bad. It was so bad.
So bad.
They changed so many aspects of characters. They changed so many aspects of, like, the world in general.
Yeah. And I think, just real quick, while we're talking about the things that they, like, quote-unquote changed about the world, a lot of it is because that series, I feel like, took off really quick without people knowing a lot about it.
Yeah.
So when they made the live action, like... this is kind of spoilers.
Okay, spoilers alert. If you want to stop here, stop here.
Spoilers. Like, I won't say anything specific.
Okay.
But, like, one of the things that really, you... fuck.
You're never going to get through it.
Okay, hold on. So, one of the things about the live... Oh, my God! One of the things about the live action was that if you kept up with the anime or the manga, you can tell that the live action was made before the rest of it was even written.
So, yeah. So, I got into this recently when I was doing it, but, like, a lot of the things that they did during the movie, they did not know about the story.
Yeah, like the wall.
Yes, okay, spoiler alert right here. So... The way they made the wall...
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about when I said spoilers earlier.
The way they made the wall in Attack on Titan was just way different than, like, the wall that was, like... Basically, the way the wall was made as opposed to the manga was entirely different to the way they made the anime. Because, like, there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of, like, history behind it. And basically, at the time when they made the movie, that had not been, like, sorted out yet with the wall and, like, how the wall was made.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm sure they had it, like, somewhere in the writer's mind. They knew, like, this is how the wall was made.
They also had, like...
But in the movie, they obviously didn't have an idea. I will also say, in the movie, this is just kind of a personal thing. It's like, in the anime, the wall, even if you don't know, like, how it's made or anything like that, the wall looks uniform, and it's all very neat and tidy.
And this one look jagged and rugged.
But the wall in the live action is so, like, gross.
Yeah,
and, like, so out of, like, just jagged and has no real, like,
it looked like it was built by people.
To it. Yeah, it's just like, listen, even if humanity is building a wall against a force it doesn't understand, they're gonna make that shit look neat eventually.
I guess that's true. Also, they made things look a little bit more rustic. Anyway, but, like, with the Attack on Titan movie, they also did this thing where they... for those who don't know, spoilers, I guess.
So many spoilers. We said we weren't going to get into spoilers. So many spoilers.
It's hard. It's hard not to do that.
I know.
But with, like, Attack on Titan, so for, like, the characters for Eren, Mikasa, and Armin...
Yes.
Whenever the original series started... They were children. Ah, fuck! But they were children. And they were about, I think, like 12 or something around the time.
I need more liquor.
Take the mango. You can have the mango.
Mango? Okay, I'll take the mango.
But they were children at the time. But in this version of the movie, they were adults already. Yeah. And, like, working.
And it was also, like... Eren had, like, always wanted to join the Scouts.
But the Scouts were just made at the time, also. Oh, God, you did not pour that correctly.
I don't give a shit.
There's so much foam. You have to pour at a 90-degree angle.
I don't care about angles. What is this, geometry?
Kind of, yeah. Like, if you want to get a right beer. Anyway, I pour his beer for him. He never understands. I guess he's gonna drink out of the glass now, or just the normal bottle. But what I was going to say originally about after going into all this, and God, that was loud, and you made a loud commotion on the audio.
That was the point. Fuck you and your beer etiquette. I'm gonna drink however I want.
Okay, Scott's drunk and a bastard right now, but for the God, he just flicked a cap at me. He just flicked a cap at me. What the fuck? But what I was going to say is that, so for the movie, when it comes into like live action movies, I feel like for Japan, they, regardless of what movie they make for anime, there's some parts that just kind of belong in anime, and it's always gonna be forever a B rank movie.
Yeah.
It's always just kind of B rank CGI, and like it's just never good in the sense of how a normal American film is. So, but me and Scott had this conversation a while ago that, what if, say for like an Avenger movie, like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So, if we're talking about the budget for a Marvel movie, if they were to throw that into the budget for an anime movie in America, I think it could be fucking great. Because Scott had this whole thing a while ago where he was just like, I still don't think that like it would be that good. I remember we originally talked about that. But I think that personally, if they were, because like, so for like Marvel and like DC in general. So let's talk about comics for a second. So with that, there's a lot of things in comic books even that you think there's no like obviously that can't be done. Like that looks stupid. Yeah. And if they were to make CGI for it, it would look stupid. So in my opinion, I think that yes, there's a lot of things that would look stupid, but with the amount of money that gets put into it, I think that it looks good because that they had the money to make it look so realistic.
Yeah.
So for manga, like manga's no different because manga and comics are the same. God damn it.
Your noise in reaction to that is my favorite part. I don't even care about the actual moan. Your reaction. I think, hold on.
Okay, take a drink.
Okay. So I think...
We're also getting down to the time, so
I
we need to put this out.
But I think the main problems that anime adaptations have are either one, it's made by an American studio where they need to adapt a whole bunch of things so that American audiences aren't like totally isolated by like, oh, it's foreign. I don't want to watch something foreign because we have this weird type of like xenophobia where we're like, we don't want to interact with other cultures or like understand them. I don't get it. But it's happens. Like we saw it in Death Note how like they adapted a bunch of shit to fit over into like our understanding of culture and everything.
They also had this thing where like they added in parts of like they showed Japan and they showed like how once again spoilers I guess, but how Light was like attacking people of Japan.
Yeah.
To make it fit his name better. And this version, which was cool, but it still was like obviously they're kind of getting rid of the cultural. That was kind of the only cultural aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But
so they either risk trying to like downgrade the culture of the show. Oh fuck!
I'm too drunk for
this. So
that
it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter.
Okay. I will say though.
Or hold on.
Okay.
I got two things.
That's fine. That's fine.
The first thing, either it gets down to American audiences where they need to make it simple and uniform to make Americans fucking understand the plot of this shit.
Okay.
Right? Or it's made over in Japan where their main thing is anime, and when they do like actual movies, they always pretty much come out as being like B-grade films.
I will say
they don't have the budget for that shit.
I will say this. So,
but also, full disclosure, I don't know what I'm talking about. I can tell I'm starting to slur my words a whole lot.
Well, okay, get away from you being a drunk bastard for a second. So,
I'm a drunk bastard. You say what you need
to
say.
Okay, that didn't even conclude. But I will say that Japan is very good at animation. I will say that America is not as good as animation as they are. They have fucking way better sense of making the amount of anime they have. They have a different process than us. But I will say that when it comes to Hollywood and movies that are being made, we have a way different process than they are. We definitely have better ways to make a movie as opposed to they do. Mm-hmm. So I will say that, like, going back to it, if we were to make an American movie that was very, very funded, had a good script that was very similar to the original, God damn it.
So many hits. Okay, here we go.
But if they made it similar and, like, didn't change the plot, because Americans love to fucking change the plot of it for whatever reason, I would say that it would be good.
But I think part of why they changed the plot is to make it more relatable.
I know that they do that, but it's also like, I watched this originally without it being relatable.
With adaptations, there's so many factors going into it. I feel like it's hard to really criticize. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm an asshole. I'll criticize fucking everything that they get wrong. But I get that they're trying to make it palatable to an audience that doesn't get the full context.
I get it, but it's also like, when you watch the movie originally and you go through, you get the context. So why...
Oh God,
damn it.
How many of those did you put in here? Jesus Christ.
It's all random, dude. But...
I'm gone. I'm done.
Anyway, I will say that, yes, that's the case. But I don't get why they would have to make it Americanized, because if I can watch the original movie and understand it, then why would I have to possibly change it? If I just make the movie into a live-action version, which is the same exact thing, and I'm just seeing it in a different format and a different style, but it's the same exact story, then what is the point of changing it?
That's true. That's very true. I feel like, honestly, the only real reason
is because we're racist as fuck and we don't understand. Oh, God, it pisses me off. It pisses me off. I'm sorry, maybe, audience. Like, it pisses me off so much.
I would put it this way, is that, like, when a movie over here in the U.S. is trying to make money, they want to appeal to as large of a group as they can.
I guess, yeah. Right?
So they want to create a film that will appeal to a huge audience. So obviously they're counting on the Death Note squad to come in and watch it and obviously be disappointed, but they already paid their money, so it's like whatever. But they also want people who haven't seen that series to come in and see it. So they need to make it palatable to that culture. An American...
Oh, God.
God damn it. Enough with this fucking hentai. I never thought I'd say that.
Enough with this hentai, right? I get what you're saying, but it's also... They really? Could just make it...
I don't even get what I'm saying.
I mean...
I'm so... Guys, I can't even...
We get it.
Are we making sense?
Not really. We're drunk.
It's fine.
But I'll also say that you could just make it the same. And...
Yeah, you could easily make it the same. It would be just as compelling.
But like, and also like for the whole American context of it is like.
I think a lot of. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
I think a lot of it just has to do with things that are something that we don't understand, like the way that things go in Hollywood, and like the way that movies are produced. I'm sure there's so many factors that we don't even really get, like why they change.
Well, no,
things.
We don't.
Yeah.
But I get that. But it's also, so, for the whole concept of them, so, recently, this is kind of the thing I've been thinking about. We're going to cut this short in a couple minutes. This is a very long podcast and what we normally do. But for the Your Name movie.
Yes.
So, J.J. Abrams is trying to make a live-action version of the Your Name movie.
Oh, so nervous about that.
I'm very nervous about it because it's not going to be entirely of it. Hang on, don't interrupt me.
Okay.
Don't interrupt me.
Oh, you're good. I'll...
So for it, they're in Your Name. There's a lot of Japanese, just like traditional things that they do in it that are to their culture.
Yeah.
But it has a very, very large aspect of how the movie goes.
Yes.
And if they changed it in any way, the movie would be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So, I get that. So he's making this in the sense of, oh, I hope that he's going to make it in the way that they originally made it, or else the story is going to be completely different than what they had. But for that, it's just like, if you're going to do that for this, why not just make an American movie with Japanese actors, or at least people who are Japanese American,
yeah,
and do the same exact thing, possibly make it in English, because fucking Americans need to have it, but do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And I get it. Maybe people might not understand it, of what their cultural differences are.
But it's like, even watching Your Name, like, as an anime, it's like, I'm a fucking uncultured goddamn American fuck. And it's like, I got what they were trying to...
And they still did a good job of explaining it.
It still did a good job of explaining it. So I don't see why they couldn't do a good enough job explaining it in a live-action film. The question, I think, is whether or not they will take the time to actually explain it. Or whether or not they'll just retcon it and, like, make it some entirely different thing.
I'm hoping that they don't do that. Anyway, to end this debate, fuck Americans for changing the concept of culture, and you don't need to do that. If you have an American movie that you're making that is from Japan, use their culture just maybe explain it a little bit more.
It's like, a good story is a good story. Take
cultural differences in general. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, a good story is a good story.
If you explain it well enough and explain the context, it's like, it's fine. It'll work. I get it.
That's what I'm saying. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up. Finally, we went way over what we thought we were gonna go over.
Way over? I mean, we're only at 36 minutes.
I know, but like, I try to shoot for like 30 minutes.
That's only 6 minutes over, though.
I know. Whatever. Anyway,
hold on.
Okay, continue.
Guys, let us know if the extra 6 minutes of content was worth it or nay. I'm trying to do longer podcasts, even though I don't do any of the work. This guy has to do all of the work right here.
Let me know if you hate Scott. And if you don't want him on here anymore. You can actually vote on our Twitter. Send me a message on our Gmail account if you don't want him involved anymore and you just want it to be me.
Okay. Yeah. Good night, guys.
And no, we gotta get to other things first.
Oh, other things?
No, before we go, remember to subscribe to us on Twitter.
Don't fall over like I just did.
Subscribe to us on YouTube at otakushot. Follow us on Twitter. I said that already. Follow me at my blog at Hideyoshi's Nagaska. Remember to, if you want to hear us answer questions or whatnot for our thing, email us at otakushotglass@gmail.com. All the links will be in the description and whatnot. All the social media and whatnot. Follow us on SoundCloud. Anyway, have a good night. This has been a long-ass podcast. Scott's not going to be here next week.
Oh, I won't?
No.
Okay.
They already voted.
Oh.
Before this was over.
Oh, okay.
They haven't even heard it and they don't want you.
Oh. I'm sad.
I'm kidding. We love Scott. We want him on here. He's definitely going to be here. It would be fucking weird if it was just me talking. Anyway,
guys.
Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night. See ya.